I think God gave me a skill of not only talking, I think I have a personality that shines when I'm in a room full of people. I know I stand out, and I want to use that gift that God gave me for good.
What are the lessons that you've learned as a businessman?
I explain to people there are three types of workers. There's a blue-collar worker, there's a white-collar worker, and then there's an entrepreneur. The ones that take all the risk are the entrepreneurs. As a personal injury attorney, we are the front line of consumer rights protection. When someone gets involved in an accident, the first thing they think of, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
This is the IEBN Podcast. I'm Naja Faysal. Joining me today is Chris Markarian from Markarian Law Group. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Naja. Appreciate it.
So, Inland Empire Business Network is a platform for entrepreneurs like yourself to showcase not only the solutions that they bring to their customers or clients, but also to highlight the story, the journey. And we are here in your beautiful office in Ukaipa with the highest flag. I'm curious to know, what was your journey like? How did you get here?
Well, I appreciate that and welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. I guess the journey starts at the beginning, and you can't know where you're going unless you know where you came from. And my roots start in the Middle East. So I'm Armenian. I was born in Baghdad from Iraq, grew up in Lebanon before coming to Chicago in the United States in 1998. Always been the big guy in my class, always had to stand up for the little guys. And I had a knack for speaking up. And my family and my friends, they always said, stop defending them. You're not their lawyer. Ever since I was a little kid. I never understood what that meant until recently, but I couldn't stand by watching injustice. And unfortunately, where I grew up in Iraq or where I grew up in Lebanon, I saw a lot of evidence of injustice. There's not much that you could have done other than pray, other than join a collective group and encourage each other, empower each other, and support each other. And then when I came to the United States, just all of our dreams came true until 9/11 happened. And then when 9/11 happened, I said, no, enough is enough. I got to do something. Now here I am, a 19-year-old young man, and this is happening in the country that I dreamt of, and I wanted to do something with my future. I'm not going to sit by and let this happen. And I don't want my kids and my family to grow up the way that we grew up in the Middle East. And with your background, you're a vast knowledge kind of a man that you know the opportunities we have in the United States are unmatched anywhere else in the world. With those blessings in my life, I chose to join the U.S. Navy. And right after joining, it was before the Iraq War in 2003. They found out I'm from Iraq. I spoke Arabic. Actually, I came to the United States speaking a few languages. So being Armenian, my dad was Armenian. My mom is Assyrian. Growing up, spoke Armenian, Assyrian, Arabic, obviously, in Iraq. Learned French in Lebanon as a second language and English as a second language in Iraq. So came to the United States speaking 5 languages. I've always loved life. I've always loved people, loved mingling. And then when I joined the Navy, got a lot of pushback from family and friends, like, what are you doing? We got out of Iraq, so you don't serve in the military. You came here and you're serving. I'm like, no, but this is the right side. This is where we fight for things that every human being can get behind. These are beautiful ideas of unalienable, God-given rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So when I joined, I was very honored to join the U.S. Navy, joined as an electrical engineer. And after my first year of engineering school and the Iraq War beginning, I deployed, and my first tour was in 2004 on the USS Preble. And I was very, very honored and humbled by the experience. That's when the Fallujah battle happened. A very, very famous 11th MEU, the Marine Expeditionary Unit out of 29 Palms, was deployed with the USS Essex, our flagship. It was a very historic thing. We had a first time in U.S. naval history that a Marine general was leading a naval strike group. And the work that I did and helped and support there, the Marine general was very impressed and recommended what we call it cross rating, changing your job in the Navy. So from engineering to cryptology. And when they gave me that designation, they're like, hey, you're very fluent in Arabic. You have all these skills that we're looking for. What do you think if you went to learn another critical language? I said, well, what options do I have? And then they said, look at all these languages that we're teaching at Defense Language Institute in Monterey. So I chose Persian Farsi. I went to Monterey, took a crash course of 1 year in Persian Farsi. I have an associate's degree from Defense Language Institute in Persian Farsi. Got that, was just about to go and start working in the time that we were looking over what Iran was doing with the centrifuges and nuclear productions. Then they said, wait. We actually are, we have a more important mission. We're looking for this guy called Osama bin Laden, and he's hiding in the Afghanistan-Pakistan border where they speak Dari. And if you speak Arabic and Farsi, Dari is something that you can learn very quickly. I said, well, I'll go for it. So I volunteered to learn Dari, and we did some operations to look for that guy. And after that was taken care of, the Navy said, you know what, we're sick and tired of you wanting to go on the ground and do things. We're in the Navy. Why don't you go, there's a program called Blue to Green. You switch from the Navy to the Army. And after looking at my options, I said, okay, then I think that's where I'll be a better fit. Joined the U.S. Army, got attached to March Air Force Base's Military Intelligence Battalion, and I was an interrogator for the Army. Had a lot of fun doing that. Then my commanding officer one day says, you know what, Sergeant, we are sick and tired of you arguing about our rules and regulations. You need to go to JAG. I said, what's JAG? She said, well, that's the Judge Advocate General. It's the lawyers for the U.S. military. I said, I love it. I'm a big fan of Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men. And I used to watch the show. There's a JAG show. So I said, you know what? I'll go for it. And applied to law school and graduate school, got accepted to both. So started law school at Laverne. And in law school, they tell you this is the hardest thing you've done in your life because 2 out of 3 of you guys will not make it. I look around, I said, well, it kind of depends on what kind of life you've lived to this point, right? So law school was I don't want to say a walk in the park. It was a blessing to have the opportunity to go to law school. After my first year of law school, I started graduate school full-time as well. So I was doing law school full-time in the morning, graduate school full-time in the evening at Cal State San Bernardino. Finished my law degree, got my master's in national security studies with a focus in counterterrorism out of Cal State San Bernardino. Took the bar exam in 2013 to be a JAG officer. But then I started working for a personal injury firm in East LA and took that job. And a year and a half later, I made partner. And about 4.5 years later, I bought the partner out. And I've been on my own since 2018. And we were very blessed to buy this building in 2021. I moved a lot of my staff from Covina, where I was before I moved to Yucaipa, and I live and work here. I raise my kids here, my family's here, and I'm very involved with you at the BNI chapter here in Yucaipa. So I love my community here. I've been very, very blessed.
What an inspiration. Now, the business world is substantially different from the army or the bigger institutions. What are the lessons that you've learned as a businessman? Because as we said, running a law firm with employees and clients and marketing and operation and finance, it's a completely different set of skills. And we as IEBN, we cover also the business aspect of that. So how did you manage to get all of this and keep growing and keep having time for BNI? And I know you're involved a lot in the community as well. So how do you get all the time?
Well, my wife always complains that I'm not home enough or I'm not with the kids enough. But I think back to your question on what I brought with me. I grew up in a seminary in Lebanon, and I think that instilled a sense of service, a sense of selflessness, which is why that translated into my service in the military. And in the military, obviously, you develop a little bit of leadership skills as you move up in rank. And I brought all of that sense of service, sense of leadership, sense of accountability. Hey, if I make a mistake, I want to pay the price for my mistake. And if I do well, I want to be rewarded for the things that I do well. I think God gave me a skill of not only talking, I think I have a personality that shines when I'm in a room full of people. I know I stand out, and I want to use that gift that God gave me for good. To bring it back to where I am today, starting out as an attorney, I loved helping people. I love it. And the money follows. When people know you're genuinely caring for people and you're serving people for their well-being and not just your profit, I think that translates into profit without you wanting it to. Then I collected a team, and I've hired and I've let go of a lot of people, and I've hired and I've empowered people to move on to better positions and higher positions. But the team I have right now, there's 12 of us. I have 3 paralegals. I have 4 case managers, 2 support staff. And I have a very good friend of mine, David, is in law school, God willing. When he graduates law school, he'll be helping and managing the legal production of this firm. But I have been always in personal development and personal growth. So with the New Year resolution for me in 2024, not having the background in business or finance and running a multi-million-dollar business, I joined an organization called How to Manage a Small Law Firm. And they've been tremendously helpful in teaching me the 6 parts of a business: the production, the sales, the marketing, the facility, the people. You got to learn about HR and making sure you have good benefit packages, you have a hiring process, you have policies and procedures. And that's been tremendously helpful. But with the trajectory I have on where I'm going in the next 3 years, I definitely need an operations manager. I'm always looking to hire an associate attorney that I can rely on. We've had a few attorneys that came to work with us, but we're moving at a breakneck speed of growth that normally people don't want to be so uncomfortable. There's a lot of risk in starting a business, and you know that. You started your business, and a lot of entrepreneurs, I explain to people there are 3 types of workers. There's a blue-collar worker, there's a white-collar worker, and then there's an entrepreneur. The ones that take all the risk are the entrepreneurs. Blue-collar is a 9-to-5 job. You go, you get your paycheck, you're happy, you enjoy your life. Unfortunately, as an entrepreneur, we're on 24/7. If someone needs our help, we don't say, no, I can't help you now, obviously with certain exceptions. You know, if I'm taking my wife out on a dinner date on Valentine's Day, there's very few phone calls that could disrupt that. But being involved in the community and giving back is what's translated into, hey, I meet someone like Naja, and Naja says, Chris, I can help you out in this area. I don't know as much as you know about marketing. Marketing is a completely changing field in the technology world that we live in AI chatbots that we're talking about. I'm a big fan of technology. I drive a very high-end car technologically, not luxury-wise. There's a lot of cars that are nicer than the Cybertruck. And the Cybertruck, some people say it's ugly, it's so weird, we're not used to a car looking like that. But the things that Elon Musk, for example, does is so cutting edge, it's uncomfortable for people. Hey, just give me my BMW, Mercedes, and the Volkswagens. Let me be comfortable. Or the Chevy and Cadillac. You know, we love the Cadillacs, we love the Chevys, we love the Corvettes. But there's something different about someone pushing the limits of technology, of the world that we're living in today. Who thought about a podcast 20 years ago?
Yeah.
I have lawyers that are practicing and trying great cases, getting great results. When they first started practicing 40 years ago, there was not even a computer. There was no internet for them to use like we use it today. Now we have computing powers in these things that are beyond some of the computers 10, 15 years ago.
Definitely. The chips in your iPhone is better than the NASA mission to the moon, right?
So,
And that moment when the rocket came to land a few weeks ago and those
and then he captured it.
It's
first time in history.
That's amazing.
First time in history. So, but to your question of what do I do to keep up with my growth and my trajectory of where I'm going to be, I'm always learning.
Yeah.
I'm always learning. I surround myself with people that are experts in their fields, whether it's finance, whether it's operations, whether it's marketing, sales, and I'm always developing and learning. Took the kids to San Francisco. We had a great time at the last live quarterly meeting that How to Manage had. We're going to San Antonio in January. We're going to Chicago in April. There's always things that are going on that I love learning and always on the move for the next level.
Definitely. Growth mindset, they call it. It's one of the most important skill or attribute of successful entrepreneur.
And it's interesting you say that. The more I learn, the more I know how much I don't know. There's so much to learn. I don't have any time to get to it. So we're always listening to audibles. We listen to audiobooks on our drives when we drive to church and come back. And the kids always say, God, we're tired of this. Now we have no tech Sundays. So the kids don't use the cell phones when we get to drive to Pasadena, when we go to church. It's an hour drive from Yucaipa. I get to get them all in solitary confinement with us in the car and give them all the spiels that I'm involved in.
Speaking of what we don't know, I am personally, and I think a lot of our listeners don't know what a personal injury attorney is. So would you briefly explain that?
Sure. So the first thing I tell people is, especially in California, everything you say and do in California, you say it and do it because a lawyer had a say over it. The clothes you wear, the cars you drive, even the air we breathe, the fuel that you pump, some lawyer had to protect the consumer from unhealthy things, dangerous things, unreasonable things. As a personal injury attorney, we are the front line of consumer rights protection. What does that mean? We're the perfect example of the David versus Goliath story from the Bible. When someone gets involved in an accident, the first thing they think of, oh my God, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? Either you're on your way to work, or you're taking the kids to school, or you're coming back from a fun event. What am I going to do? My car is destroyed. I'm in pain, and I'm 30-ish, 20-ish, 40-ish years old, that I shouldn't feel this pain in my neck or my lower back. Where do I go from here? And that's where we come in. I've been doing this for almost 12 years now. I've had thousands of clients. And the process to personal injury is very simple. You get checked out, you get examined, depending on the level of accident. First, you call for help. You check yourself, you check everybody around you, and you call for help. Generally speaking, we recommend someone calling the police, dialing 911. The police are professional law enforcement officers that have responded to thousands of traffic collisions, and they know exactly what to look for and how to help people. Exchange information. Take photographs at the scene. Take videos if possible. If the liability, if the fault could be half and half, make sure you document it in video. Hey, I saw you pass the red light. I am sorry that we were involved in this accident, but I just want to confirm that you passed the red light and you hit us and you T-boned us, or you rear-ended us, or whatever the situation is. Speeding, or I saw you were on your phone. Unfortunately, distracted driving continues to happen more and more. Thank God for the car that I drive. Now you can't. If you look away when you're in autopilot mode in a Tesla, I think you have 3 seconds to look back in front of you. It doesn't allow you to get involved in an accident, which is bad for business for me. But I'm very glad that people are not involved in accidents. I tell people, there's no way you can recover from a serious injury. No way, no amount of money in the world can compensate someone, unfortunately, if someone passes away. So we do everything we can before someone gets involved in an accident to educate our community. We do a lot of campaigns to give people free lift rides when they are going or coming back from a major event in the city of Yucaipa to the neighboring cities. Normally, we give 15-mile radius rides, so that's all the way from Beaumont to Redlands, so they can come and go to the city of Yucaipa without having to worry about driving after drinking. We've had a few wrongful death accidents, too many, if you ask me, in the city of Yucaipa, and I've handled most of them, if not all.
So what is wrongful death? Like someone mistreatment in the hospital, or doctor's malpractice, something of that nature?
Well, a wrongful death could happen. Anyone's life that is ended as a result of someone else's wrongdoing. And that's where the wrongful death term comes from. What you mentioned is a medical malpractice area. Unfortunately, we don't handle the medical malpractice here, but we have a lot of law firms that we collaborate with, whether it's wrongful death or family law or criminal law, that we can send clients to. But what we focus on is if someone is killed in a car accident and it's not their fault. Someone runs the red light, or someone runs over a pedestrian, or someone comes with a head-on collision with our clients in the car and it's not our fault. Then that's a wrongful death accident where the family is devastated by the loss. And we understand that, which is why in a wrongful death accident, what we recommend for clients to do is, or people to do in general, you must designate someone that you trust immediately the day of the incident so they can handle the business aspect of pursuing a case. And the reason I say that is if you get involved in an accident at an intersection, especially in the city of Yucaipa, I'm very familiar with our city, with all the intersections in our town, major intersections. And I know which businesses have cameras that are recording those intersections, that we can capture the video, which is the strongest evidence we can have. But if we wait past the 1 week mark, it's less likely that we get that footage because it records over on a hard drive.
Yes.
So we want to get in the first couple of days in any serious accidents. Again, all the Teslas have cameras that record if an accident happens. It goes back a few minutes so you have the footage from the Teslas. But not every vehicle does that, which is why getting involved early on, calling an attorney early on to get your help with the accident with the injury from an accident is very, very crucial.
Right. So you've got the car accidents, you've got wrongful death. So wrongful death, and then you've got those slip and fall. Like someone is walking the dog and they something in the road or in the what do you call it?
On the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk.
Like, so uneven grounds in the sidewalk, or if you have any bush or plantation going, in a slip and fall or a trip and fall, it's very different and it's very difficult to get someone compensated for, which is why we also educate our community that if you slip and fall, let's say at one of my favorite stores, Costco. We're at Costco all the time. And they have all of these people that give you the samples when you're walking around Costco. People buy ice, which is why they give you the ice on the way out, and it's not around like you would even at Stater Brothers here locally. The ice is on the side, so you pay for it, you pick it up and leave. Because if you walk around store with ice,
the water is going to drip.
It's going to drip. And they have logs to have sweep logs. And they say every 5 to 10 minutes, someone comes through an aisle to see and make sure it's safe for people to walk through. The reason for that is if you slip on, let's say someone is buying some kind of soap and the soap box is or the container has a hole in it and they drip as they're pushing their car through without their knowledge. How long does the store have to respond and clean and stop that hazard? If it happens and a minute later you slip and fall, it's very hard to hold Stater Brothers or Costco responsible for that. Or Home Depot. You go to Home Depot, there's all kinds of things that you can buy that could be a puddle that's invisible puddle, clear puddle, water-like substances that are slippery. Well, if it's 1 minute before you fell, it's very hard. We're sorry for the injury, but we just can't hold them responsible for that. Now, if it's 5, 10, 15 minutes later, that's a completely different story.
That's negligence.
But the only way we can determine that is by video footage. So if you get hurt because of a slip and fall or a trip and fall in a parking lot or an outside facility, you must look around to find footage. You must look around for cameras. You must report it to the supervisor on duty. So they have a knowledge of it, and now they're on notice to preserve any evidence that they may have. They may not have a camera looking exactly where you fell, but they have camera footage of when you walked into the store and how you walked out. Right. If you're limping, if an ambulance came, so that way we can determine the level of injury and compensation that someone is entitled to in a slip and fall accident.
Got it. So cars, wrongful death, slip and fall, what else?
Sometimes we handle animal attacks. If you have a dog, unfortunately, everybody that pays for insurance, they wonder, why am I paying for insurance? So there's 2 reasons why people pay for insurance: asset protection and liability protection. So if someone is suing you for something that happened in your home So someone could trip in your house and fall. If your carpet is uneven, if you have a trip hazard in your house, that's a homeowner's liability protection. A dog, most of the time, is supposed to be on an insurance policy. Some policies say we don't.
I did not know that.
Some insurance policies say this policy does not allow for animal unless that animal is listed. So if you have a dog, most of the time, a German Shepherd, a Pit Bull, or a Rottweiler is very hard to insure, which is why it's on the owner's responsibility to make sure that you prevent your dog from attacking someone. Because God forbid you get bit by a Pit Bull, Rottweiler, or a Husky, or a German Shepherd, you have a different injury than a Chihuahua or a miniature poodle or something that cannot penetrate the skin and cause nerve damage. What a lot of people don't understand, especially if a dog bites a face or a leg of a young lady, now you have scars that need to be remediated by surgery, plastic surgery, and cosmetic surgeries. So an animal attack is another one of those. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not aware, like you just mentioned, that if you have a big dog, they must be on your insurance policy. If you have a renter's policy, that's for items that you have, but some homeowners require that their tenants have liability coverage if they have a dog. Or some homeowners say, no, I'm not renting to anybody with an animal. And you're not allowed to have an animal if you rent here. So that's one of the other avenues of our services that we provide. So car accidents, wrongful death, slip or trip and falls, and animal attacks.
And what people expect when they engage you. Let's say I got in an accident. After calling the police, as you said, should I call directly my personal injury attorney, or should I call my insurance? What is the process? Walk me through it.
That's a great question, and I appreciate that question. So, unfortunately, the insurance companies have diluted the market by teaching everybody you got to call your insurance and file a claim immediately. Well, the first thing you do when you file a claim with your insurance, the adjuster has a list of questions. And the insurance agent's and adjuster's job is to save money. They're in the business of making a profit. They're not a church when you call your priest or someone that is giving you advice. I'm truly caring for you. And that's why we do so much marketing for people to know us and hope that when you're involved in an accident, after your first call of being a 911 call, your second call should be to a loved one to assure them, hey, I'm not going to get to my destination. I'm going to be running late. I was involved in an accident. I'm injured. I'm going to do this and that. Your third call should be to an attorney, because my job is to protect your right from an insurance company that doesn't want to compensate you. And most of the time, unfortunately, our clients don't have health insurance. So I have a vast network of doctors and professionals that I can send you to make sure that your car is taken care of, that your health is taken care of, your body is taken care of. We recommend the process of a personal injury claim starts with first to take care of you. How are you feeling? What are you feeling? A lot of people don't realize if you hit your head somewhere, that's the biggest injury you can have is a concussion. And insurance companies call it a whiplash or a concussion, and they just want to, brush it under the carpet. A concussion is a brain injury. We go to all of these seminars to learn about what kinds of injuries our clients suffer, whether it's a lumbar spine, a cervical spine, or a thoracic spine. Or I have soccer players, I've been coaching in soccer. Every time a soccer player uses their head to hit a ball, you're suffering a concussion. A concussion is basically an impact on the brain that's floating inside your skull with these tiny things that hold it between the skull and the brain, and this liquid membrane that we have. And that's why when you have that 3 to 5 second, what just happened after you hit the ball with your head. And that's why we don't allow kids under 11 years old to use the head in the soccer game, because they could cause an injury to a developing brain, which is different than you're in my brain, which is developing a lot slower than a child's brain. But to go back to your question, so you call 911, you call a loved one, you inform them that you're doing well and what you're going through. Then you call us. And we're going to recommend that you at least go to the hospital, get checked out. If you can't drive or move, definitely get the ambulance ride to the hospital, which the police is going to recommend, depending on the severity of the injury. With that being said, after you go to the hospital, you should call your primary care doctor if you have health insurance. If you don't have health insurance, what we can help you with is two options: chiropractic treatment or physical therapy, depending on your injury. When you go to the chiropractors that we work with, the first thing they recommend is an x-ray to make sure none of the bones are broken. If the bones are not broken and you're not in severe pain, then you follow conservative treatment of chiropractic treatment. If you prefer to go to a physical therapist, which is more hands-on, spending time with you as a physical therapist, that's an option as well. We work with great physical therapists and chiropractors in Yucaipa and Redlands and Beaumont and towards Rancho Cucamonga and towards the desert and Palm Springs. After that is when we recommend, if you need more treatment, we recommend you get a consultation with an orthopedic surgeon. After a consultation with an orthopedic surgeon, if you're complaining of any pains to your neck and your lower back, which is where most of the injuries happen in a car accident, that's when you go for an MRI. An MRI can give us a good indication of what you're dealing with. After the MRI, if the physical treatment, physical therapy, or the chiropractic treatment didn't help alleviate the pain, then they go for pain management. And that's where you start getting into injections. Right. You get an epidural injection, a facet block injection, a PRP injection.
And who's paying for all of that?
And that's a great question, Naja. The insurance companies for health insurance usually get to treat the clients that we have that have health insurance. And the ones that don't, what we do is we secure an agreement with a healthcare provider saying this person was involved in an accident that was not their fault, and the person who caused the accident will be responsible for their bills. So we don't want our clients that have no health insurance to worry about, how am I going to pay for a $10,000 treatment, $20,000 treatment? Sometimes our clients need surgery.
Right.
And whether they do it through their health insurance or if they don't have health insurance, we do it on what we call it a lien. A lien is a promise to pay once the case is resolved and not at the time where treatment is received. And we work with the best doctors that you can find because we believe that our clients deserve the best treatment that they can get.
And do you file the claim on the behalf of the client, or the clients still have to do the claim themselves?
No, absolutely. So the client, all our clients need to do after they sign a retainer with us is feel better, get better, go back to their lives, go back to enjoying their family and their children and their activities and habits, go back to work, and we handle everything that's related to the claim. So we file the claim with the defendant, which we call the third-party insurance, and we also file the claim with our own insurance, which is a first-party insurance. And that's why we try to get everybody to understand the best time to recover from an accident is before an accident happens. Everybody should be driving with good policies, with good limits on their policies. The two most important things that we always ask and beg our community members to have is UM, which is uninsured motorist coverage, or UIM, underinsured motorist coverage. Naja, it's very sad. Sometimes we have clients that get involved in a serious accident and they have $1 million injury, but the person who caused the accident only has a $15,000 limit. And that's all they can get.
Oh, wow.
So after the attorney percentages are taken out of the 15, you may be walking away with $5,000 to $10,000, depending on your injury. I have clients that have been involved in serious accidents that caused amputations, and they lose a leg, motorcycle accidents specifically. They lose a leg, but the person that caused the accident has $20,000 or $50,000. Here's a $3 to $5 million injury. Right. And all they're getting is $10,000 to $15,000.
And do you get paid from the client, or after the? So when you say they sign an agreement with you and a retainer agreement with you, does that mean that if I am injured and I'm involved in an accident, I have to also pay you, basically?
And that's a great question. So we are one of the only fields of law where we don't charge you a fee to represent you, but we charge a contingency fee, not a flat fee. So what does that mean? That means if I don't recover any money for you, you don't pay me anything.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. So otherwise, if you hired a criminal defense attorney or a family law attorney or a corporate law attorney, you have to pay the $300 to $500 an hour retainer with an advanced retainer of $5,000 to $10,000. If personal injury was that way, then nobody would have an attorney to represent their rights.
Got it.
Which is why we evaluate a case and we screen a case and say, hey, we're going to wait to make sure that the police report that is going to be filed comes in your favor because we're the plaintiff's prosecutors. We prosecute a plaintiff's case. We don't defend a case. And that's where your insurance premiums that you pay every month would hire a lawyer for you to defend you in a case. Unfortunately, there are some types of cases that people exaggerate or people fake it. They say, I'm in pain when they're not in pain. We have to weed those out. And I'm very blessed to be in a community where my community members in Yucaipa, I have to beg them, please get the treatment that you deserve. They're like, Chris, I'm fine. But look at this MRI. One day you're not going to be even able to get out of bed. I got to help you out while the case is alive because once we close the case, you can't come back and reopen it.
I actually know someone who unfortunately lost their life. They were involved in an accident. They had a concussion, but they walked in. They were perfectly fine. I think a few weeks down the line, they just unfortunately lost their lives. And so what you're saying really is important for everyone. And speaking of the community, I know you're very much involved, and that's how we actually met in one of the chamber meetings. So what drives you to be like involved in that community and to, I know you sponsor some sports teams as well. And tell me more about like what drives that activities.
Sure. So I think it comes from our culture. You and I grew up in a culture where we have block parties. We have everybody join on a celebration. And caring for each other is a very fulfilling richness in people's life. So when I first came to America, obviously I joined a church in Chicago and started attending church in Glenview. Church has been the foundation of my life. My faith in Jesus Christ has been my reason for success. God has blessed me tremendously with the mother that I have after I lost my dad. I was 11, 12 years old when I lost my dad. I have a tremendous mother that's been an angel in my life that has played the mom and a dad role. I have an older sister that's always cared for me and pushed me to go out and participate and get involved. So to your question, we come from a collective culture. We love to be together. We love to have big parties. I joke and tell everybody that doesn't know who Armenians are. I say, watch Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's the same thing as just an Armenian. Our culture is very vibrant, very full of people and surroundings. So when I chose to live in Yucaipa, I fell in love with this town. I fell in love with this town because when as refugees we come to this country, we dream about America. This is the America we dream about, where people come together from all walks of life, different religions, different cultures, different races, different ethnicities, but we can all love and respect each other. A heartbreaking incident took place that actually made me decide this is my home. And we lost a armed forces member who was the son of the secretary of the school where my kids attend. And as a result of his passing, when we did the funeral procession, this whole town came out on the streets with American flags showing support to this family. And I said, this is where I'm going to come and raise my family. So when we first moved here, we had 2 kids. We had 2 after that. And then I married into another daughter. So now with my childhood sweetheart, we're raising 5 kids in the city of Yucaipa. Got involved in soccer when I first came here. So I was coaching soccer. I missed my daughter's last game today, but I was with my son's club game in Corona. He has got a final game tomorrow. So soccer is a sport we grew up with. Getting involved in soccer, I met a lot of people in town. The next thing I got involved in the city of Yucaipa is I wanted to know what we would do in case of an emergency. We are so beautifully located in the mountains here that God forbid that earthquake happens, that we're all waiting for it to happen. And we're disconnected from LA County by Highway 10. What are we going to do? So I started CERT. CERT is the Community Emergency Response Team. And we've been training every 6 months a new class, and we've had over 400 or 500 people go through that class. Fell in love with the people that came there because they're selfless people that wanted to come and volunteer to help and give back. So after soccer, after CERT, I found a beautiful organization in the Rotary Club. Got involved in the Rotary. I was the president of the Rotary Club a couple of years ago. I was the treasurer last year, and I'm the membership chair this year. So I, invite nice people like you, my good friend Chris DeLeon from Big Time Design, to come and help this wonderful community service organization. That's a world-wide organization. It's an international organization. As a matter of fact, Rotary is the largest non-government organization in the world that provides community service, non-political, non-religious, just human-based community service. So I fell in love with that. After the Rotary Club, obviously, I'm still very involved in my church. Now we serve at the church in Pasadena. So I drive with my family to St. Gregory Armenian Church in Pasadena off of Colorado. We helped start the church in Rancho Mirage, St. Garabet Armenian Church. We recently had a nice Armenian festival out there. So between the church, the Rotary Club, the soccer organization, the city emergency planning, I am involved with teaching counterterrorism classes in Riverside County Sheriff's and San Bernardino County Sheriff's classes. I love my community.
You have hands full.
Absolutely. And then you and I met at the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce that I've been a member of for a while. And now I'm a member of the Redlands Chamber of Commerce, besides obviously Yucaipa Chamber of Commerce. And we recently, you and I joined the BNI, the Business Network International, to help and give back. And I love especially BNI, which is a referral-based business organization that thrives on the philosophy of giver's gain. And that's been the lesson of my life, Naja. The more we give, God blesses us with so much more. And I cannot wait. I tell everybody, I'm 43 now. I'm going to stop working at 50 and just give everything I've earned back in the second half of my life. And I can't wait. I'm so excited to do it and teach everybody else to carry on the work that I've started here. God willing, the goal is to grow into Beaumont, have a second office in Beaumont, where we have a team of 20 to 25 to provide services for the pass area of Highway 10. So all the way from San Bernardino to Banning, and make sure that these communities are well served when it comes to personal injury needs.
Awesome. That's very good. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.